DJDUBL.
Deyah, what's going on?
Not much, I'm good, G.
I'm alright, welcome.
Yeah,
so it's like
thank
we've
you.
just started chatting, even though we've been chatting for half
But
an
time,
hour already.
innit? I know, probably getting into conversation. And
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
You're welcome.
So first up, who was it that advised you to change your name to Deyah?
Ooh, kind of myself, but so my name before was No Name Disciple. And I did Reading Festival, and No Name, the rapper, female rapper from Chicago, was also performing at the same time as me, same day.
At the same time, at the same festival?
Yeah,
right.
different stage, but same. And people got confused and thought I was her.
Right.
So when I come on stage, they started booing me, and yeah, it was peak. And I literally said to my manager at the time, like, we've had a few mix-ups before, even on radio, they've like shortened my name to No Name because No Name Disciple's long.
Right, yeah.
So after numerous issues, including Reading Festival, I was like, yeah, I need to change my name. So it took me about 4 months, and then I come up with Deyah.
Wait, so was that your first festival stage as well?
I think it was, you know. I'd done like a few festivals out in the countryside, like quite small, intimate ones, but like main festival, yeah, that was my first.
Oh, how was that as a feeling? Like, did you realise at the time why they were booing?
No, because towards the end, everything was blessed. Like, everything was cool. Do you know what I mean? I said my piece, and I was like, fam, if you want to go see No Name, just over there. Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, initially I was a bit like, oh my gosh, what the hell's going on? And I wasn't sure if it was, I hadn't even said anything. So it couldn't have been what I said. I didn't know if it was how I looked. I had no idea what it was about. And then I kind of clocked when someone on stage was like, they think you're No Name. I'm like, I am. And they went, no, No Name from Chicago. I was like, oh, right. That's not my fault. Go and see her if you want to go and see her.
I guess it takes a certain type of artist to just own the moment and be like, all right, cool, she's over there if you don't want to go.
Exactly.
Some people might not handle it so well.
Yeah, I think if I was younger and I had the ego I had when I was younger, no, I wouldn't have. But yeah, I'm calm now.
Do you prefer the new name, or do you kind of ever wish like, oh, I liked that one? Like,
it's easier to say, it's shorter, and it has more meaning, I think. No Name Disciple did have a considerable amount of meaning to me, but I'm a different person to who I was then, so I would have had to change it regardless of the mix-up with No Name.
What made you choose Deyah?
This is mad. So I was messaging this American artist back and forth, and she was asking me to put a verse on her track, and I said, yeah, I'm Deyah, like I'm there to do it. She was like, oh, nice to meet you, Deyah. And I was like, no, I'm there, like I'm there to do it.
Yeah.
And she went, oh, I thought you said your name was Deyah. And I was like, woo, light bulb moment, sick, yeah. I'll take that. And then I started looking into Deyah and what it means in other languages. And it's crazy, like it always correlates through other languages as like spiritual being or person of substance. So I was like, ooh, okay, this works. And also I'm there, like I'm there for
like double entendre.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a triple one somewhere, but I haven't figured it. But there's got to be one.
Right, yeah. Sick. You're originally from Cardiff.
I am.
So you don't have a Welsh accent though. So when I found that out about you, I was just like, it did surprise me because you don't sound Welsh.
Yeah, people say that. I don't. I think I went to private school.
Right, okay.
And we had elocution lessons, and so when we were learning how to like pronounce words and stuff, naturally the Welsh language kind of drifted a little bit.
Right.
And I think I've travelled a lot and moved around a lot as well, and I've been now living in Bracknell for about 8 years, and naturally just not really being around Welsh people and the culture, my accent's kind of changed slightly, but it's never been like deep rooted Welsh. Like if you hear my mum talk, you know she's from Wales. Do you know what I mean? It's proper. Yeah. Even I'm like, sorry sometimes, because it's quite a thick accent. But yeah, my accent's a bit muddled, but I say stuff like Bath sometimes instead of Bath.
Wow, okay.
And I said Primark instead of Primark for the longest until I got too much abuse for it, so I switched up a little bit. Yeah.
What was your upbringing like in Cardiff?
My upbringing was a movie, and I say that in the best way and worst way. I had some beautiful moments to my life, but I think there was also a lot that wasn't as nice to be a part of and to experience. But I think in Cardiff, it's a very quiet town, or at least it was, or city, I should say. When I was younger, there wasn't much going on, if I'm honest. So you had to make your own entertainment, and trying to do music there then was hard. Still, it's hard now. I was only there on the weekend and just talking to artists and their experiences, and it's still hard now. But it's 10 years on from when I was there, so I think it's doing a lot better. Yeah. So yeah, Cardiff it's a beautiful place, but I've never really felt at home there.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we were saying off camera as well, like, really to kind of get into the music industry side of things, it's difficult being that far away from where the hub is, you know, like from London and stuff. So
yeah, for sure,
it's tricky.
For sure.
Where would you put yourself when it comes to like the UK industry and the rap scene? Do you even class yourself like as a rapper? Because I know you're versatile when it comes to the artistry. I do, but I've started singing a lot more than before, and I'm also heavily into not just writing bars, but the production side of things, right,
and also the visuals. So I think I use the word or term artist now, just to sort of encapsulate everything. But I guess mainly I do rap, but I think rap is very streamlined. It's just you know.
I get very much like Lauryn Hill vibes from you.
Listen, you see Lauren, I grew up just Lauren all day, every day. Do you know what I'm saying?
Listen to a lot of
there was a lot of that, a lot of influence from Lauren, and also older, like old school Busta, old school Snoop, that kind of flow, Tribe Called Quest. That's kind of my vibe, yeah.
Dope. Would you class yourself at all as like a Christian rapper?
Ooh, I was when I was No Name Disciple. If you caught me on any flyer, other than Reading and Leeds, but if you caught me on any flyer or any event that was going on, it would 99.9% be Christian.
Right.
But I made the decision to withdraw from that because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself, and also as I started to grow and experience life, when I was talking about drugs and talking about childhood trauma and pain and men and daddy issues and shit like that, it no longer fit in that category of Christian rap, although it could, but you know, Christian rap's its own thing, and I didn't want to, if I'm honest, be a part of that.
Is it true that you wanted to be a minister?
Yeah, I studied, I've got a degree in theology, Hebrew language and Greek language. Okay. I studied for 3 years. That's why I moved to Bracknell, actually. In 2015, I moved from Wales to Bracknell to go to this seminary. There's like 100 of us there, to study to become a pastor. And I was a student pastor for 3 years. And yeah, that was crazy. And I graduated in 2018 and still like took part in church and was very much leading in church. But then I had some next situation in 2019, and I left, not my faith, but I left the church, and then I guess started from scratch with building my understanding of what it was that I wanted to believe in. Yeah.
So where did the religious aspect come into your life? Was it were you raised in the church like from a child, or was it something that happened later?
You know what? It's a very good question, because my mum's always spoken about God. She hasn't exactly lived it, but she's always spoken about it because her mum spoke about it.
Right, okay, yeah.
She would drag me, like genuinely drag me to church at times, but then there was a point where she was like, you're not really on it, so do what you need to do. So I went to Buddhism. I went into my African roots of religion as well.
Right.
And literally tried to discover what it was that I felt made sense. And I was going back and forth for time, and then it was 2013 I went on some next downward spiral. I had a really bad alcohol issue, and my mum sent me to this like Christian or spiritual, shall I call it, congress in Serbia, and just packed my bags and literally, like, I remember her calling this pastor minister guy, and they both like carried me into this van and closed the van, and my mum was like crying because at that point of my life I I just wasn't right in my head, and it was her sort of last resort. And when I went to this place in Serbia, my whole life changed in that time period. And then I left there and realized, like, yo, there's a higher power, and I've been taking the piss, and I need to sort my life out. And that's where it came from. So partly my mum's influence, and then partly being there and being introduced to someone who just spoke to me in such an amazing way that I'd never heard of before. She's my best friend still to this day, and that was 2013 time. So yeah.
What caused like the alcohol problem? Was it just kind of young drinking that got out of hand, or?
I was going through a lot. My father's from Nigeria, and the discipline there is a whole level of discipline, and it was heavy on me, physically, really heavy on me, and I was sick of it. My parents' dynamic as well. Like, if you saw my parents together, it doesn't make sense at all. They're so opposite. So growing up, my mum would say I could do something, and my dad said I couldn't. But then my dad would say I could, and my mum. So either way, I'm getting a beating from somewhere because I'm going against someone. So having that was really difficult, and my dad wasn't in a great place then, so I wasn't treated how I should have been, and my mum wasn't in a great place then. And so just having that, and the dynamic of going to private school, knowing my parents didn't come from wealth, but my mum came from hard work. So I wasn't there because I had money behind my back. I was there because my mum worked hard. And being around people who, they break their phone and then they go into the office and use the teacher's phone to call their parents, who'll then bring them a new phone by lunchtime. It's like having that and being around that, but then going to Nigeria and the holidays and seeing poverty. The juxtaposition was so real for years that I didn't know who I was, what to do, who I should listen to, and it just built up to a point where I escaped through drinking.
So in school then, so like you're saying, you coming from such a different background to everyone else, was it like, did you feel like you fitted in? Were you able to really like make friends there, or?
No, it's crazy because even just down to like the music I listened to, the opinions I had, there was no one that agreed or understood. And my hair as well, I had some next afro, and I remember like my teacher was like, your hair looks like a gorse bush. I didn't even know what a gorse bush was. Now I do, and it's some next nettly ass flipping nest of a bush. Do you know what I'm saying? And they always used to pull me into like the side cupboards to like sort my hair out if we were having photos and shit.
It was predominantly white school, I guess.
Yeah. So they didn't. There was no understanding of me. I quite frankly didn't understand them. And when we had stuff like career workshops where you've got lawyers and solicitors and vets and doctors, and we'd all have to sign up, I wanted to be a rapper, so where do I go? And they were trying to put me to like Guildhall music and classical, and I said no, like I want to rap. And I remember a teacher saying, you're embarrassing the school, like you need to pick something as a career that you're actually going to do well in. Rap's not, we're not, what was the word she used? It's not for, we're not the type of people to listen to rap. And I went, but there are people who do listen to rap. And she went, but those people are on drugs. And that was her answer. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And do you know what? It just built up an anger issue in me. I did some mad stuff to my teachers' cars and to them. I was quite violent actually, just for a build up of stuff at home, a build up of my identity, and a build up of just not being understood. So it was crazy. Mad.
How did that go down at private school, smashing up a teacher's car?
Listen, they'll allow you to do whatever because
as long as you're paying the fees.
This is the thing. And do you know what it was? I was trying to do the most to leave, but they wouldn't let me leave. Like,
it's because you're a customer, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Money,
if they're getting their money at the end of the year or at the end of the term, they're good. So I was doing the most. Like, I even scratched my teacher. It was peak. Like, I obviously hope she forgives me. But she got a new car. And she was talking about it. She was really excited about it. And I scratched the whole thing off in my lunch break. And I would never do... it's horrible to even think that I did something like that. And there's no excuse for that behaviour. But it shows you the mentality I was in. Do you know what I mean? I did madness. I'd put like, you know, Olbus oil.
Yeah.
I'd get a water bottle, put some Olbus oil in it, and lock it back up and sit there and wait for something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was shit like that, or throw chairs, or I just knew that they weren't gonna do anything to me, or they'd call my mum and dad and whatever, and I'd get a beating at home. But it was worth it to just make school fly by and to put my point across that I'm not like you lot, and I want you to allow me to be me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think, you know what, this is where teachers fail sometimes. They go by this 150-year-old curriculum model instead of actually nurturing separate people, and like, okay, cool, the academic side might not be working for you, so she's throwing chairs every class, so what do we do? Where do we put that energy? And that's what the mentality should be. Instead it's like, oh, we'll call her mum, they're going to pay the fees anyway, put her in maths.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what they did though. That's what they did. Or they give you a dead detention where you got to sit down and write why you're sorry. And I would just write, I am not sorry, and call it a day. They're not going to drag me out of there. Do you know what I mean? They'll just send me to class. So what? And it's crazy as well, because I remember like when we had authors and shit come to the school, or athletes or whatever, to talk to us, like motivational speaking and stuff. I would always wanna, especially if it's authors or athletes, because I feel like that kind of strayed away from the lawyers and the doctors. So I'd always they'd always pick a pupil to interview them. And they'd never allow me to be photographed or to interview these people. And the King of Lesotho then came to the school one time, because the school would put some money together to fund something out there. So he came over here to thank us. And because he's the King of Lesotho and they ain't got any other black people, mixed race people to choose, they now ask me, oh, would you mind introducing him? And I said no. And they were like, no, but we're really good for you, you know, you've been asking. You're asking me because you want to try and you want some sort of connection, because I'm Nigerian now and someone from Africa. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like at that point they just used me for what they needed to use me for, and then when they didn't need me, then they'd push me to the corner.
Were you the only non-white person in your class?
Yeah. There was one girl, shouts out to Uju, who was a couple years ahead of me, but like when I joined, she left. So it was that kind of hi, bye kind of thing. But other than that, no, it's just me.
You don't swear in your music.
No.
I've noticed. Like, you articulate yourself very well as well, and you're clearly like well educated, so you don't have a problem writing bars without putting swearing in there. Is it something that you consciously keep out though? Is there a time where you write a bar and you're like, you know what, that cuss would really fit in there, but I'm not going to say it because that's my thing? Or is it just that you've got access to a whole vocabulary, you don't need to swear?
No, it's definitely a conscious effort, because day to day I don't swear a lot, but you know, I'm human in it, so it slips out. But when I'm writing out, it's because I remember Will Smith did an interview time ago. Do you know what I'm gonna say? And his grandma was saying to him something about, if you have to swear it in your lyrics or in general, it means you can't articulate yourself. And I remember that stuck with me for time. And I wanted my music also to be accessible to everybody. I know I talk about some skeezy stuff, but I even sometimes hear swear words and I'm like, is that necessary? Like, do you really, is there no word? We've got millions of words in the world. Come on now, use something to put something else there, you know? So it's a conscious effort, but I did say shit in one of my songs. I didn't clock though, it was just there. And someone messaged me like, you swore. It's like, when? And then they said, you said shit, and I was like, come on man, like, is shit a swear word? I guess it kind of is, but it's one of those ones. It didn't really like, it didn't occur to me that so I think I'm kind of not coming out of not swearing, but being a bit more lenient. But you wouldn't catch me dropping F-bombs and shit like that. It would just be shit. I think that's the most I go to.
What kind of stuff do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of country music.
Okay.
I love country music. There's just something very honest about it. Like Dolly Parton's Jolene. Yeah. She's begging another woman in that track not to take her man. Whereas nowadays the music you hear is take my man, I'll take yours. Do you know what I mean? Or
Right, yeah.
take my man, I'll find someone else. Or I don't need. And I just love that brutal honesty. If there's times where it's like, no, please don't take my man. It's take me this long to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take him from me, kind of thing. So I love country music, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers. I also love, which I got put onto quite late, Amapiano, like the South African house. I'm gutted that I only found out about it this year, but that's
Right.
completely changed my whole life.
Yeah.
And a lot of rap music, obviously, love rap music, and soul, R&B, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, old school. If you ask me like who's the top 5 artists in the UK right now in terms of numbers and stuff, I couldn't tell you because I don't really listen to today's music. Do you know what I'm saying? Much
Yeah.
other than, like I said, Wretch and Sims and Dave and Gets. I wouldn't know.
Do you find yourself like easily influenced by other people's sounds as well?
No, because I go through every year for 3 months. I actually don't listen to music unless it's gospel.
For 3 months? Is it a specific 3 months? Or?
Yeah, any 3 months of the year where I feel like I'm starting to lose touch with my creativity, I'll strip myself of it and just listen to gospel music.
Okay.
Because it does align me really well. And so that kind of stops me from being too influenced. I think sometimes it's important just to take a break, because when you're constantly consuming, it's happened before. I started singing something in studio and the producer was like, that's not yours. And I was like, I just made it up, bro. He was like, no, it was something from time ago, but I genuinely thought it was me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I need them 3 months just to strip off and try and go into my brain instead of taking from everyone else.
Interesting. I've never heard anyone doing that before.
It's worth it. It
Yeah.
creates a whole different level of creativity, I feel.
Is it true that you turned down a collaboration with quite a popular artist recently?
Who?
I was going to ask you.
I'm just thinking. I don't know. I don't know who that person is. I'm trying to think, because on a real, I'm very selective with collaborations. I think it might all seem great to work with a certain person because of their status or whatever, but if it's not right, it's not right. And also, I don't rate it when the intention's done. The intention to do it is purely for that platform. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like if, trying to think of an example, Marilyn Manson asked for a collab, it wouldn't make sense to me. I don't know well, be interesting, but it's not something I would go, yeah, sick, because you're up there and I'm still on the foundations. Do you know what I mean?
Why did you pick Marilyn Manson then out of everyone ever?
I just thought it was someone whose music was very opposite to mine.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I was just giving an example that some people will, even if the artist is completely opposite, and they may not even like the artist, they'll still just do it because, do you know what I mean?
Out of the status.
Out of the status thing, yeah. But, you know, me and Marilyn Manson could do something, I suppose. Who knows?
It'd be interesting. I mean, he's done stuff with rappers before.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be completely
It wouldn't be
left,
too far. Yeah. I just think the content of what we're saying might be slightly different.
It would be a contrast.
It would be a huge
contrast.
It would be mad.
When it comes to your writing process, how do you pick a beat? How do you write the lyrics and come up with the topics and stuff? Like, do you have like a set formula?
Kind of,
in a way that you write?
Kind of. I write what I go through.
Right.
So everything I write is what I've gone through, or at least what I've seen, or at least a perspective, which is rare because it's 90% of what I go through, or it could be a perspective of a past perspective I've had. So I could be writing about a relationship, but that relationship could have been about 8 years ago. So it's not always the present what I write about. But if I listen to an instrumental, it will normally give me a feel of what I want to write about. Equally, I write lyrics that pop into my head on my phone. And speaking of which, 2 days ago, 114 files got deleted on my phone of lyrics.
Oh no.
I woke up to write a lyric in and it was like, congratulations on your first note. And I was like, what do you mean my first note? Where's the... And everything had gone. So how that happened, I don't know. So that was gutting. But yeah, I normally write lyrics down and then start writing bars without a beat and then put it to a beat. So it changes depending on my mood. Yeah.
So you've just lost
Gone.
all those bars.
Gone.
How do you feel about that?
If this happened 2 years ago, I'd be wilding out. Oh my gosh, I'd be wilding out. But I just learned to let things go now. So I looked at it. So, you know, them moments, I just stared at it. And I was like, Lord, why? And then I took a deep breath and got on with my day. Yeah, because can't do anything about it.
No.
And just got to keep writing more.
There you go. If
Yeah.
you've got it in you, if you've written it once,
You can write again.
you never know, it might be better this time around.
This is the thing.
So, talking about writing your life, basically, in your music, you're very, very open about the things that you've been through and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you mentioned earlier, you had an alcohol problem. It's evident from your music, like you had a drug problem as well.
Yeah.
And was that at the same time as the alcohol thing, or was that a different stage in life?
Different stage. Alcohol was the first issue I had when I was 14. That's when it started. And drugs took a later kind of appearance. I think when it came to like weed and stuff, yeah, that became a problem quite early on as well. But harder drugs was a bit later on.
How did you get to that point then? Was it just like a recreational thing? Was it amongst friends, or like was it escapism? What was the situation there?
I think I was teetotal when I was a student pastor.
Right.
Towards the last year of that, I went through some stuff at the uni that I was studying at. The uni didn't really like the fact that I had tattoos.
Right.
And the denomination that I was a part of is so strict. Like, women can't wear trousers, for example.
Right. Okay.
Can't wear earrings, definitely can't have tattoos. And so as I started to progress and I was getting preaching appointments in different churches, it was no longer just contained in the classroom now. The uni were getting a bit wary because I'm on live stream preaching somewhere with my tattoos.
Right.
And I don't preach in the traditional way. I like to preach as if I'm talking to people eye to eye, not this sort of I'm holier than thou. So there was a lot of friction at uni, which made things slightly difficult for me. And because of that, I started drinking towards the end of my degree, and then I decided to withdraw myself from my duties, I guess, because you can't, if someone's calling you to come and pray at a bedside, you can't be there like, yeah, I'll be there in a second. You know what I'm saying? And then I calmed down, I got myself back to myself. But then when I went back into church and I found the church that I really wanted to stay at for time and really work with the community there, I ran into a situation that literally, probably one of the most painful situations I've had of these church members, a couple of them conspiring against me, and they didn't like the fact that I'm very outspoken. If I see something I don't like, if I hear something I don't like, I will say what it is. I don't like to be silenced, and they didn't like that. So the whole issue that arose then put me on this spiral of rehab. I left church, that was in 2019. And that's when I went to harder drugs from just that experience, because I was in that community and gave my all. And in 24 hours to have that stripped from you, the loneliness is mad. So it was a bit like, well, I've got to find a new community. And so my new community was the pub.
Right.
And then I just got introduced to a whole load of shit.
What was the thing that made you then decide to go to rehab and clean up?
I went a fair few times, so it wasn't just like a one time thing.
Right.
But I think it was at the time I was working as a support worker, and I worked a lot of hours, 15-hour shifts. I couldn't give the care to the patients that I should be giving them. And I had bare letters just like piling up at home, and I opened one of them and it was an eviction letter, and I just didn't open the rest. My health was just not good. Weeks and weeks would go by and I'd forget like the month had changed. Do you know what I mean? I'd still be mentally back on in that month. And so I went to my doctors to go and get some antidepressants, and he was like, I can give you some, but you've got to stop drinking. The combination of those will not work. So I'm going to put you onto this rehabilitation facility. Once they tell me that you don't drink and you've had a considerable amount of time away from alcohol, then we can put you on the antidepressants. And that's how I got introduced to rehab, purely actually to get the antidepressants. But then my addictions just got worse and more varied, and so I was just back and forth into rehab, never got the antidepressants. And finally, it was when I had one mentor called Rachel who took over my previous one, and she said to me, the way you're going, you're not going to be here in a year. And hearing that, part of me was like, woo, because I want to be here anyway.
Right, yeah.
But to hear that, and I brought her all my letters. She'd asked me to bring my letters as well. So we went back to the yard, opened it up, got the letters, and she was saying 6 months late on this, 6 months late on this eviction. You haven't had insurance on the car that you've been driving. Like, you haven't. So all these things, MOT, nothing. I've been driving with no tax, no insurance, no MOT for how long? So that's when I realised I've lost myself completely. Yeah, it was mad. It was mad. I remember I started cutting bits of my hair off, and yeah, it was a whole identity thing. And then they diagnosed me with like some identity crisis, misidentity crisis thing. And yeah, just to hear all that stuff about yourself is like, wow. So I was healthy and teetotal and being able to lead people and guide them and be that person they can come to, and now I can't even guide myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's mad.
I got into your music from Care City, when Care City came.
Oh, sick. Cool,
so
yeah.
that was kind of where I got into you. Care City is kind of like, to me, it's you kind of explaining that part of your life, and like.
Yeah, true.
Was that project therapy for you? Was that like you needed to get out what you wanted to say, and that's where it went?
Yeah, I'd say so. I needed Care City. I released 2020. Yeah, that was literally, that whole EP is a documentation of what I went through at church.
Right. That
time where I left because of all the commotion and shit. So it was necessary for me, and I made that. I wasn't going to release it actually. I was doing it more for myself, but I realized that there's a lot of people. In fact, I think most people who've entered a church building have had some type of nonsense happen at church, whether it's judgment or gossip or lies or being mistreated, and it's a sad fact. And once I realized, wow, a lot of people have experienced that, I thought, yeah, let me just do it for myself, but also for others, just to hear someone who was on a pulpit however many months ago actually saying that the church is what killed me. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever have any reservations about putting something so personal out there, like, because you're very vulnerable in the music?
Never.
So like, for everyone to be able to hear that and then know that stuff about you straight away, did you ever question like, oh, should I hold back a bit, or is there bits that you've held back and not put out through the music?
Oh no. I think now I'm more careful with what I say. When I say careful, careful's the word. Then I'm in general, I'm more than happy to say whatever it is, because I think we're here once. What we go through is not just for ourselves, but it's for others to learn from. It's an exchange of energy to be able to say, this is what I did, and I never wanted to be a person that was fake. I didn't want anyone to think that I was, on top of the world and happy all the time. Yeah, I did Reading and Leeds and Boomtown and Outlook, and I'm in studio with this person and that person, but actually inside I'm dying. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not fearful. I think the issue is what human beings do with that information.
Right.
Not everyone's kind to the information. And I've had times where I've worked with people, and because I've talked about being on drugs, when I meet them for the first time, they're staring at me to see, is she on drugs now? Or if I'm like, I'm going to go toilet and I take a bit longer than usual, they're like, oh, so what were you doing? Do you know what I'm saying? Right, so that's what people, they use that information in a wrongful way, but I'm never fearful to speak my truth, as people say. When I say I'm more careful now, I'm more careful with what I share on social media, I remember when I went into rehab, I put an announcement to say I was going into rehab because I knew I was going to be off socials for a long time. And I went and dealt with my thing and come back. Now, I probably wouldn't be that forthcoming and say, I'm going back into rehab. I would just go into rehab and do what I needed to
just
do.
do it behind closed doors.
Yeah. I might write it in the music. You can take that how you want to, but it's not me actively going out and start, posting and making an announcement that I'm going in. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that was more for the care of other people, wanting them to know. I haven't gone. But now I need to care for myself. A bit more.
How do you feel like about the project now, looking back? Is it something you can listen to?
Yeah, I do often.
You do, so
especially Liquor Lament, which is the last one, where I'm crying out to God. I listen to that often when I feel like I'm getting myself into a dark hole. But I listen to my music a lot. My music actually heals me, because I relate to myself, obviously, because it's me in it. So when I hear it, I'm like, oh, sick, yeah. Someone else understands, which actually is me. So yeah.
You throw in some French in your music sometimes. You speak like fluently French.
I used to speak French good. In school, languages was all I could do, really. Languages and sport. Obviously I could do music, but not the classical stuff, do you know what I'm saying? So languages is something that I really put my all into, and I don't practice it anymore. With lockdown as well, I haven't gone to, I used to go Paris like 4 or 5 times a year.
Right, okay.
I haven't done that in time now. So it's if someone gave me like a solid couple of weeks, maybe a couple months to sit down and reverse myself, then I think I'd be alright. Yeah.
Any other languages?
I spoke Welsh quite well. That fell off quite quickly. There's no one to practice with. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's kind of a language you only speak in Wales.
In Wales, and even in Wales, some people don't speak it. So, Igbo, which is my native tongue, my dad versed me in that from young. He still calls me now and again, and sometimes refuses to speak English, and will just speak Igbo just to put me on blast. So I have to force myself to speak it.
You've got to stay sharp there.
Yeah. And then I've gone in between Spanish and Portuguese and Italian, but like I said, if I was given time just to sit with these languages, then be A1.
What about Greek? Because you mentioned you studied Greek as well. Can you speak it?
No, so we learned a Greek called Koine Greek, which is like the first Greek that was written, the scriptures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can read it, again, need practice, but we learned to read and read Hebrew and Greek as opposed to speak it. Yeah.
If you could work with any artist ever, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dolly Parton.
That's such an unexpected one. Obviously, it goes back to what you said earlier, but Dolly Parton.
I would love Michael Jackson. Obviously, is a given. Michael Jackson is just. I mean, it's my guy. But Dolly Parton. I just love her. I think she's so brilliant. Yeah. Dolly Parton. Don't know how it would work, but I make it work. I made a Bashment remix of Dolly Parton's song with Kenny Rogers, "Islands in a Stream," and it sounded hard. So if she'd compromise with me a little piece, then we could do something.
So you produced that, did you? You produced a Bashment remix of a Dolly Parton song? Yeah,
it's on SoundCloud. Yeah, it's still there.
I'm gonna have to find that.
Do you know what? It's all right. It's actually quite hard. It's quite hard.
The latest project, Exit the Dance. Absolutely love it.
Sick. Thank
really,
you.
really good. Tell me first of all about the title. Why is it called Exit the Dance?
It's called Exit the Dance for 2 reasons. In Bracknell, there's these stickers everywhere, all over Bracknell, and they're really shiny, in the dark you can see them. They're just very noticeable, and the stickers said "Enter the Dance."
Right.
And I was like, why does that make me feel like someone's inviting me into some euphoric basement rave kind of vibe, or inviting me into hell? Either one. I just felt like Enter the Dance, it didn't seem right. I don't know. And it made me say to myself, I would never want to enter a dance again. I want to exit the dance. I'm done dancing. And then I just started thinking about what that could mean and what the dance means to me. And I guess metaphorically, the dance is dancing with the devil, if you want to call it that, or dancing and entertaining ideas and opinions that you wouldn't regularly. When you're in a place where you're not stable, you make heinous decisions. So I wanted to exit all of that nonsense. Even like the industry is a whole dance as well. You got to start doing this and that and this and that to appease certain labels or executives or people, and I just wanted to exit the whole thing. So that was why I come up with the name.
And so that kind of explains the Genesis video then, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're waking up in, it seems like, I mean, maybe you can elaborate more, but it seems like you start off like on the stairs,
yeah,
right?
On the floor.
Fast asleep on the floor of the
Yeah.
stairs. But it seems like some kind of basement club, because then you go out and it's all
That's
very
sick.
hazy, like
Sick.
a drunk thing, and you're actually making your way out.
Yeah, that's sick
So
that you got that.
That's what that
That's
is,
what
yeah?
it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's, me exiting it, yeah.
Yeah. What is your favourite track from the project, Exit the Dance? Do you have a favourite, or is that like asking you for your favourite child?
Ooh. I hear people have a favourite child though. I hear people always
My mum definitely does.
secretly has a favourite child. Yeah, I hear that's a thing. I think it's got to be Yam.
Okay.
Yeah. The first track, Wahala, like the beat for me is, as soon as I heard 10 do whatever he did for that beat, I lost my whole life. But so beat wise, it would be the first track. But yeah, Yam, I think is my favourite. Yeah.
So
Sure.
10 Billion Dreams produced
The whole thing.
the whole project.
The whole thing.
How was it working together? Because
We-
he's what I call like a secret legend. People that aren't really in don't quite know the levels. Like
he is not of this earth. I don't know where that guy's from, but he's not of this earth. He it's cool because when we first met on the first day, we spoke for hours. Like we made Genesis actually that day, but we spoke for so long about everything, trauma, pain, what we've gone through, where we want to go, our current situations in life. And when we spoke that much, it built up an understanding of one another. I can't go into no studio and just sit there, and I've had experiences where someone's like, right, okay, you write, I'll make a beat, and they just swivel around in their chair and the beat's being made, and I'm like, I don't even know anything about you. I can't create with you like that. So we created what I'd say was the right way for the creatives that we are, and then just come up with madness. And it's crazy because we sparred a lot as well. He was pushing me to be the best I could be, but I thought he wasn't listening to what I was saying, because he was saying about me writing in studio. Now I was saying off camera, I write at home. That's where I'm comfortable. So I thought I was going to go there, we were going to make the beats together, and then I was going to go home and write. And he was like, no, what do you think this is, man? You're writing now. I was like, I'm not writing now, don't talk to me like that. And we were sparring, but all of it was written in studio. I grew a new level of creativity that I didn't know I had. And we had a good time making it. We had ups and downs, arguments and whatever, but he's like my big brother now. Do you know what I mean?
all part of the creative process.
Sick,
I think.
yeah.
And you coming out of your comfort zone like that sounds like you developed like a new level. Like
Yeah, and if he hadn't have not forced me, but he forced me. Let's say
he made you do it.
He forced me. If he hadn't have forced me to write in studio, I don't think I would have. Since I'd still be writing at home,
Right.
because he had the strength to tell me to my face that you're making a mistake here. Do you know what I mean?
To me, that's the difference, like the key difference between a producer and a beat maker.
Facts.
Like someone
Facts.
who can look at the artist and be
Facts.
like, nah, you need to do it this way. That's how it's going to work.
And
Like
that's
they produce the circumstances,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And especially like when it comes to criticism as well. Nah, that doesn't work. Try it this way. Like,
He did that a lot as well, and I didn't like it. But
You didn't like
I
it?
love it now. Now, I've in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, I needed that. Because I'm stubborn. Do you know what I'm saying? I write what I want to write. But I'd be like in the middle of recording, and he'd stop it. Like, what's going on? Like, trying to see what he's doing. He'd be like, what the hell is that? That's lazy, man. Sit down, and at the time, but how are you telling the writer how to write? Do you know what I mean? You do what you need to do. But then I'd rewrite it and I'd be like, yeah, okay, you're right. It sounds way better. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like in those situations sometimes like it's more about the ego? Like, did you have much of an ego at the time? Like, I'm the rapper. Like, you can't tell me how to rap.
Do you know what? Because he'd recently just finished producing Conflict of Interest for Gets, it was literally, I think, I got in studio couple weeks after,
right,
to the point that Gets was still sort of in the building, like moving around at the time. I wouldn't say it was ego, because I was humbled to be in that room with him, but I think it was more of, I know what I want to do, and at times, which I've now learned, I don't know best.
Right, yeah.
And because I've been working at home and writing on my own, I've never had, my hamsters ain't gonna turn around and go, that was a whack bar. Do you know what I mean? It's just me.
Hamsters.
Yeah. It's mad. It's mad. I let them run around, riot with no cage. It's crazy. But I haven't had anyone to say anything about.
Yeah.
So it's just me going, yeah, that's hard, or that's sick, or that's bad. So having someone say that, I hadn't heard it before. So I took it as as you're actually trying to make me come off this chair to fight you. That's what I thought. Yeah. He's like, no, relax.
Like personal attack.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he was like, no, this is how it works. This is how working with people is like. I was like, yeah, I don't like this. But then now I'm in studio like 4 times a week with bare people, and I love it. I love input. Yeah. Not too much input though, do you know what I mean? But a little bit.
Not saying stuff for the sake of saying it, but make it constructive.
Like if someone's like, oh, that's rubbish, or that's shit, I'm like, okay, but add something to it by saying,
don't give me a problem, give me a solution.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that's a bar rotted. Yeah.
In terms of your fan base, do they consume your music quite quickly, or do they sit with it? So like, have you got people asking like, oh, when are you dropping? Like, are they asking now? Like, when's the next thing coming out? Even though you just dropped.
All the time. And I say, I don't even respond. I don't respond. What are you talking about? First of all, do you know how much money I had to go into making that thing in the first place? And my time. And now I've got to go through, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I struggle to write positively.
Right.
It's not negative to the point that you just want to sit there and just not do anything with your life, but it's very reflective. So I'm trying to actually now get to the point where I'm writing about more, not positive, but it's a bit more uplifting. Do you know what I mean? There's a solution, as opposed to me just telling you about my problems. So I need to now go through a whole season of my life, a new one, to write something. And I'm literally going through a season now, so I'm writing the hell out of it. But people, no, I ain't got time for that. If you go and have you listened to my first thing from when I was 16? If you haven't, don't chat to me. Do you know what I mean? There's bears, 10 years worth somewhere, whether it's SoundCloud, Bandcamp, whatever. Don't chat to me, thank you. That's what I say.
How many songs do you reckon you've made up to this point?
What, released or in general?
Just in general.
My laptop, I was looking at it this morning actually. I've got over, so unfinished, oh my gosh, it's about unfinished. But in terms of stuff that's just sitting there, about 500 in total.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Since I was 18 is when I got that laptop, so it's 8 years. Which doesn't really sound much. 500, 8 years is not, but yeah. So there's just stuff. There's a lot just there. Yeah.
Do you find that kind of stuff, like, is the majority of that music just like training, just sparring, just to find yourself and where you want to fit in, or is it stuff that you want to get out?
I think that's sick that you said that, because I struggle with not releasing stuff. I'm like, fam, it's there, and something I've learned maybe the past week actually is that stuff is training. And I do go back and like take certain things from it and add it to current stuff, but it's only recent I've had that mentality. I've been really frustrated that it's all sat there and I want to release it. But I will say, even though I said I write from different perspectives in my life, certain things that I've written I wouldn't want to release because they're so far away from the mentality that I'm in now.
Right, yeah.
That it would make no sense to people. Because when people listen to music, they hear it then and there and they think, oh, this is your mindset now. You could tell them all day, every day it was 12 years ago, they don't care.
They think that's how you feel now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, moving forwards then, what's the what's the plan for you? Do you have like aspirations, or are you just kind of rolling with it and seeing how it goes?
No, in terms of personal ones, I want to get a farmhouse and a farm.
Okay.
That's my...
Fecky just did that. Did you see this?
Listen, I saw it. One of my managers sent it to me, and I was like, oh my, this is the dream, man. Because he messaged me on WhatsApp. He was like, you're not the only one who wants the farm. I was like, facts. I want a farmhouse, bare animals, bare food, like fruits and stuff. So yeah, that's the personal goal. But in terms of like music, well, I've got to do the music to afford the farm. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of music, I think at the moment I'm changing my sound. So what I'm releasing next will be so different to Exit the Dance.
Right, okay.
Exit the Dance was like an anomaly. That was a really focused concept vibe that came from a very dark place. When I went into Studio at 10, I just recovered from all sorts of stuff. And we're still going through it as well. So yeah, this stuff will be different, and there's more... I'm getting more serious now with what I'm doing. I think I've done all the feelers now. I've put bits and pieces here, but it's just going to be getting a bit more serious with the moves I'm making. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I see you did a fire in the booth the other day. That's like that's a great way to show people that you're getting serious now.
Yo, that's been on the list for so long. So when we were told I was doing it, I was like, oh wow, okay, sick. I really enjoyed that. It's mad though, because the comments weren't great at all. From the people within Fire in the Booth, sick. Do you know what I mean? The support from them was they gassed me a lot as well, which is really cool. But the actual comments from the listeners wasn't too positive. But to do Fire in the Booth, I don't care. That was my goal.
Yeah.
Really happy about it.
I think, you know what, in terms of like people online and people with the comments and stuff, first of all, we all know people that like, they're the type of people that, imagine 5 years time, they'll be like, oh, can I get a picture? But like, hold on a minute, you would cuss it like...
Listen, I wrote a lyric saying something about bad comments coming near from the Fire in the Booth lot, something about, but they'll be the same people who shout when Deyah goes clear, something like that. So it's mad you said that's exactly what, I wrote that the other day.
Exactly that. And I think like people, the online people as well, they're, especially now where they're kind of just into like, especially the younger fan base, more into like the drill sound and stuff like that. So anyone does anything slightly removed from that, it's like, oh no, that's ain't it.
That was the thing, you know. There's a lot of people going, why isn't she doing drill? Someone said something like, is she even speaking English? I thought, fam, what do you speak? What else? Sorry? Do you know what I mean? Some of the comments are wild, but after the first hour, I stopped looking at the comments. I said no, because what happens with me is when I start getting, which I haven't before, which is new to me, when I get negativity, it doesn't affect me, but it affects how I am towards people.
Yeah, for real.
And it makes me not almost go, what's the point? But it makes me go, do you know what? People just don't get it. If they don't get it, I'll just go and live on a farm. I've got to finance it first, but I'll go live on my farm and mind my business. So it does make me quite hard-hearted. People can say what they want to my face or about me, and like I said, it doesn't affect me because I know what I can do, but it's just, it just makes me really frustrated against the world and the industry and what's expected from artists.
I learned a lesson actually about comments and online stuff, and this is something I apply now all the time. So I do interviews for another channel as well, like another platform, for Vlad TV.
Oh yeah.
And what I realised was the people that watch my interviews on there, they're not DJDUBL fans. So they're just gonna be ruthless with it, like regardless of what it is, regardless if it could be that, like I believe I do very good interviews.
Yeah, you do.
But the people on that channel, they're not going there for me. Does that make sense? So they've got no kind of love or whatever. They're just raw. Like the fans on that channel are ruthless in the comments, regardless of anything anyway. But then I realised that I could put that exact same interview on my platform.
Oh, and you get love.
And the people that are coming, they come for me. Do you know what I mean?
That's
so it's
true.
like I made a conscious decision to stop, to not read any comments if I'm on any other channel, if I get posted on any of the meme pages or anything. I'm not getting involved in the comments because that's not my tribe. Like the people commenting are the ones on my social. That's where I'm getting my information from.
That is sick.
And
that is sick.
I'm glad I shared it with you as well.
I'm
because
glad,
it's like,
because I was, honestly, I said to my manager, I was like, what the hell?
It's a game changer. As soon as you apply that, because now I don't care. Say what you want. Say what you want on Vlad's channel. Like that's that channel. You're over there.
Channel.
Just don't come and say it in my house.
Man. Yeah, I needed to hear that, you know, because I think as I grow now as well, there's going to be more channels that I'm, do you know what I mean, going to and whatnot. And instead of getting vexed, I never comment back though. I never I'll never spar. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got time for that.
It's one of them ones where it's like, as creative people, when someone knocks our creativity, it actually hurts more and we take it more on board. One person might say that's dead, and you think about that for the whole day. But there's 10 people before that have been like, that's sick.
Yeah.
And you don't think about the 10.
No, you just think about that one.
You think about that one. Why did that one person say it's dead? But like, that's what I say. Like, if it's any other channel, like,
that's
I'm not paying attention.
It's true.
Like, you're not my people. You're their people over there. Like.
And Prospect was saying on the phone, "Am I going to give you wisdom? You just drop me some."
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, Deyah, it's been amazing. It's been a really good conversation. I'm so excited to see like the elevation of you and like what's going to happen next.
Me too.
Because I feel like you're in the early stages, and I feel like now this year, especially through the lockdown, people really have they're waking up to you now.
Yeah, finally, man, it's taking time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Again, this is like, it's something, you know, you see pictures about this so often, like the iceberg, and where there's all of that huge iceberg under the water, and then you just see the tip, and the tip is the work that people pay attention to. And I feel like right now, you've just got above water level. So you've got all the stuff you've done before, but now you've just come out on the surface now, and people are seeing like what's above the surface. Like,
do you know what though? It's funny you say that. I agree, because I within the industry, I'm known amongst certain people in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And I'm cool with. But it's the outer world, and I think that's the thing, is like what you're saying as well. Yeah, it's this year for me, or 2022, will be about not trying to hone myself within the industry, because I've been doing that, but it's more of the rest of the world. Yeah. I
feel like they're waking up and they're starting to discover you now. So.
Hurry up, man! I'm getting old. You know what I mean? I'm getting old.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah, Deyah, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Yeah,
DJDUBL here with Deyah.